Uh, m- Hello everybody. Today I will be presenting my Prime Scandal Media Ethics presentation, or should I say case study, sorry. And it is sourced by a USA Today news article, and it will be presented by me, Avian Martinez. So I hope you enjoy and let's go. So introducing Prime and its scandals in its entirety. The Prime company, which is a hydration drink company, started out in 2022 and was created by American YouTuber Logan Paul and British YouTuber KSI. In 2023, however, the first lawsuit was filed for synthetic chemicals known as PFAS, in particularly the grape flavor of Prime Hydration. And then in 2024, the following year, another suit was filed for falsely advertising 200 milligrams of caffeine in Prime Energy, which is their supplemental drink that I will get to later in the presentation. And Prime also faced some allegations of advertising to children or, advertising to minors. And so here with these three examples, I will try to cover the media ethics topics of utilitarianism, deceptive practices, and media economics and stakeholder concepts. So, starting first with the utilitarianism aspect, despite the PFAS that were in Prime, right? I do want to preface for a lot of these either unknowingly or unwillingly, because I believe Logan Paul he did discourage or go in against most of these claims. They continue to sell the Great Prime. And so, they well, I mean, as most of their drinks, right? They saw it as an opportunity to sell to the greater public. And once again, whether they overlooked it or did not know about the synthetic chemicals, uh, it was still making them money. And so, you know, if the broader stroke of their customer base, if they didn't notice or didn't care, then there was no need to stop producing, right? So again, that's that utilitarian aspect forming. If the greater, population or customer base didn't really care or didn't notice, then there is no reason for them to stop. And there's no reason then for supplementally to stop making money. But again, a district in Northern California did eventually catch on to these negative synthetic chemicals. Again, the PFAS. They saw these negative results and they took legal action against them. Again, they filed the first lawsuit or one of the first lawsuits against Prime, and I believe they're asking for like a $5 million like payout for like physical damages and uh harm to people, I believe. So I believe that's what it was. So for our second topic, deceptive practices. As I mentioned earlier, Prime has made two primary drink options. They have Prime Hydration, which is their for workouts and whatnot, and then you have Prime Energy, which was introduced, I believe, either later in 2023 or 2024. And all the promos and ads established that Prime Energy only had 200 milligrams of caffeine, which is, I believe, on the higher end of energy drinks, if I'm not mistaken. There are many that have 100 and some. And it was discovered, or at least allegedly discovered, that the drink exceeded 200 milligrams by either having 215 milligrams or 225 milligrams of caffeine. which again is a lot. And then going past that, well, that's, you know, once again, whether intentional or not, Prime took part in deceptive practices. They essentially openly lied to the public by saying that there's strictly 200 milligrams, but I believe also, a district court in New York filed this lawsuit against them, again, arguing that there was far more than 200 milligrams. And so, this kind of thing should not be taken lightly. You know, a deceptive practice is still, lying to the public. This much caffeine and then increasing it accidentally or whatever, it can cause physical harm to the public, and you openly lied to them about it. So they are at fault if anything happens because they openly said it was 200 milligrams of caffeine, and clearly it was not. So for the third and final aspect, we have media economics and the stakeholder model, which I think pair very well in this example. Prime Energy, once again, also faced allegations of advertising to children or minors. And this is not, for those who want to defend them or whatever, that doesn't make sense. This is not out of the realm of possibility because, they are both prominent YouTubers. They both have millions of subscribers, I believe, and they both have a prominent social media presence, or having that YouTube career has given them heavy social media presence, and Prime definitely has that, especially with the both of them. And on top of that, though it's not illegal to use, you know, bright or friendly colors, it clearly, you know, it had those drinks, the Prime Energy drinks, they came out with very bright colors, and I believe the first renditions of Prime Energy did not have a prominent 18 and up label, which I believe they fixed after said lawsuits and allegations. So, Prime Prime could take very good lessons from the media economics and the stakeholder model because they need to take better responsibility for, their product clearly being very attractive to children. Again, they have a prominent social media presence. They're going to reach that kind of under 18 audience. And, the drinks look very appealing, especially to a young child. And so if they put the stakeholder model into effect. They put their parents and the children in the center of their again, like their stakeholder circle. Then they'll avoid these negative consequences in the first place. They would have maybe used more dull colors, or they would have um they would have put the prominent bolded 18 plus label rather than thinking, oh, let's get this product out. Let's make some money. And so to conclude my presentation, Prime, in the Prime Hydration with the grape, they clearly outweighed the use of the chemicals for the greater consequence of, appeasing many people with the grape flavor and making money. And they clearly went for a utilitarianism aspect there and should have probably reconsidered more. And though it could seem like a minor increase, they openly deceived the public about their caffeine levels. Clearly, in enough examples, they had more than 200 milligrams of caffeine, which again, as I stated earlier, can be very dangerous, especially when you have the upper limits of, caffeine levels with 200 milligrams. They could also benefit from prioritizing their young, fan base, rather than making profit. Again, whether they did that on purpose or not, they clearly have that kind of reach, and, you know, they should put their customers first, especially their young ones, because that's probably I believe, their biggest demographic. Prime throughout throughout these examples showed elements of both utilitarianism and deceptive practices, which they could hopefully turn into a positive outlet. But as of these allegations, they came out to negative consequences. And they could heavily benefit from the stakeholder model in media economics, you know, putting their, you know, putting their young fan base first will make sure they avoid causing any physical harm and prioritizing, public safety over making profit. Well, this has been my presentation. I'm Avian Martinez, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.